343 has dropped the Halo Infinite news that they promised we were going to get by the end of the year. In this video, we're going to talk about all the main points and discuss them, and look at some of the cool concept art that they shared. So, without further ado, I don't want to keep you waiting because we've all been waiting for Halo Infinite news. Let's hop right in. So the absolute first thing that we need to talk about is Halo Infinite has another tentative release date. We've all been speculating when Halo Infinite's going to come out. We saw that mocap actor come out earlier this week or last week and say that Halo Infinite was going to come out in spring of next year, and that has now been debunked, as 343 has confirmed that the release date is going to be fall of 2021. A long ways away, which is kind of a bummer. However, there is a bright side to that. They have confirmed that we are going to get flighting later next year. They don't say when during the year we're going to get these flights, but hopefully it's earlier rather than later so that we can really get in, test the game out, and give 343 our feedback. This is absolutely huge because the flighting system has really helped the MCC come a long ways, and I think the community is going to be able to help 343 out, solve bugs, help with some of the design intricacies that they may have missed during their testing, and all sorts of other benefits that the flighting system will have. Not only are there benefits for 343, we'll also get the game in our hands a little bit sooner, and I know we all want that. Now moving to the next section of this blog post by 343, we kind of get into the art and graphics update. So I do want to say, this section and the next section, the live service section, they don't really have any necessarily super new information that we didn't know about before. A lot of it is more kind of explaining things that we already know, expanding upon points, and sharing cool concept art that we haven't seen before. When we've all been asking for more Halo Infinite content and more Halo Infinite news, this is one of the things that we have been saying. If 343 is not ready to show more gameplay off, at least show us some cool concept art. Expand on some of the things that we know about, just to keep us all engaged and interested in Infinite. And that's exactly what they did in this post, and I'm really happy that we got this. Now, obviously, we still need to see more gameplay, and I'm sure that's coming in the future, but we didn't get that today. So I just wanted to make that clear that other than basically the release date, there isn't really anything super groundbreaking or new in this blog post. So on the art front, we get to see some cool concept art for the rocket launcher, the Spanker, I think. I always mispronounce this and people make fun of me, but I think it's the Spanker. And just look at it, I mean, it looks pretty sweet. We also got concept art for the sniper rifle, which is one of the iconic weapons of Halo. When you watch a Halo montage, you're going to see a lot of this sniper. So this is going to be something we're going to see a ton of, whether it's montages or it's pro HCS plays. The sniper always plays a huge pivotal role in all that gameplay because it's such a strong weapon, and it's a weapon that always has a higher skill cap. You really get to see players that are good with the sniper shine when they pick it up. So seeing these two weapons and seeing how they look is really cool. They both look really nice. Obviously, neither of these are in-game screenshots and these are work in progresses, but it's just cool to see this stuff. I'm just pumped that we're finally getting to see some Halo Infinite things other than the gameplay reveal. Now in this post, one of the main things that they talk about is that the primary goal for the campaign demo in July was showing Halo Infinite gameplay for the first time. They feel that that was an aspect that they generally landed as they wanted, but the reality is that the art and visuals weren't at the bar that they hold for Halo, even in a work in state progress. We saw this as a lot of the criticisms toward the gameplay reveal was toward the art and graphics of the demo, as opposed to the gameplay side. Now there was gameplay criticisms, and I'm not going to discount that, but I would say you saw a lot more of them related to art style and graphics than you did gameplay specific things. I think a lot more of the gameplay criticisms came from a place of needing more information, whereas the art and graphics criticisms came from, we looked at the game and it didn't look very good. So they basically go on to say that when they were getting this campaign demo ready for us in July, they really focused on getting the gameplay and everything how they wanted it, but they just couldn't get the art and graphics there with the time that they had. They really get into the nitty-gritty here about all the different features that they have used to kind of improve the graphics. So I implore you, if you know a lot about that kind of stuff or you're just interested, to check out the blog post yourself. But what I want to do here is kind of talk about kind of basically what they're saying. So they're saying that they think they did a good job of showing the gameplay at the time, but they didn't really have enough time to get the art and graphics looking the way that they want it to and looking the way that we're going to see it on launch. They pretty much say that at the time, even they knew that the art and graphics weren't where they needed to be, but obviously they had their dates and they had to show us the gameplay reveal. Now I think that's something that you can take at face value. I think it's pretty unlikely that they were totally caught off guard with all the criticisms toward the graphics. And one thing that I have really noticed in any stories that I read about game development and game design is that is that these big gameplay reveals, the gameplay reveals that you see at E3, are never really that indicative of the game that you're going to get at the end anyways. A lot of times the teams are absolutely scrambling to get a little slice of the game, somewhat playable and presentable, and in some cases you do some weird things, you cut some corners here and there to get that slice of the game ready to be shown off to the public, and I do believe that this is probably what happened here. They were trying to get this slice of the game ready to show us, and they were able to get the gameplay to kind of look how they wanted, but they just weren't there quite yet with the engine, with the graphics, with the art style. Basically, long story short is that they are continuing to improve the graphics of the game, and by the time this game comes out, we should be pretty pleased with how it looks. They say that they're really trying to blend the classic aesthetics of Halo with modern game design and modern graphics, and so I think this is something that can turn out looking really good. They did talk a little bit about our good old friend Craig, and basically said they've done a lot more work on the brutes and the brute faces to make sure they don't really look like Craig when we get the game. They do also show a concept art here for one of the multiplayer maps, and I mean, you can't really take a whole ton from one image, but I would say looking at this, it looks pretty cool. Looks like there's some verticality to the level, along with multiple different paths and whatnot. So I'm interested to see how this map in particular kind of plays out. One thing to note is this doesn't look like a remake of a map, although it would be kind of weird if they showed us concept art of a remake, so it makes sense that they would show us a new map. Next, we'll kind of move on to the live and customization section of the blog post. And in here, they really give us more information on the armor coatings and the overall customization of the game, along with what I guess you could call like the live service model, how we're going to unlock things, how the monetization is going to work and whatnot. So in here, they kind of talk about the principles and pillars of Halo. And so I'm just going to kind of briefly go through them. Basically, they have that healthy engagement is paramount. They want a game that everyone can enjoy in a healthy manner, and they don't want it to be a super grind fest. They also want to maintain a player-first focus. In this section, they're kind of talking about how they're going to get rid of random rewards, and they don't want to weaponize FOMO against the player. There's going to be limited time events, but they also want to make sure that playing Halo Infinite isn't a chore. They want to make sure that when you're playing Infinite, you're enjoying your time in it. I think this is big because obviously this means that we're not going to have loot boxes. They've kind of said this in the past, but this is just another confirmation that we're not going to get those again. They also talk about how they want to have unambiguous value so that if you invest your time or money into the game, the player feels that what they're getting out of the game or what they're getting out of their money is worth more than the investment. This reiterates no loot boxes either through engagement or a premium route, so no rec packs, no anything, not even just purely unlockable through the game, they won't be there at all, and they're not going to sell any power or give any unfair advantages in-game via any route. All of the customization and live service models for this game are going to be aesthetic. And they also want to make sure that they're always listening, learning, and experimenting. They talk a lot further down about how they've learned from Halo 5's live service model, and they're going to take what they've learned from Halo 5 and be able to apply it to Halo Infinite in a way that really enhances the experience. One thing that they really dive deeper into, again, is the armor coatings that we've seen in the past. Obviously, there was a lot of criticism and questions toward how the armor coating system is going to work, and there's still a little bit of vagueness to it, but basically, they talk about how it's going to define color, wear and tear, patterns, and materials on a region-by-region basis on the Spartan or anything in the game. So you're going to be able to see it on armor, weapons, vehicles, and it even says environment elements like fuel barrels. So to me, this wonders if we're going to be able to use armor coatings for map design in Forge, which could be pretty cool. They talk about how to get to their design vision. They had to make that difficult decision to go away from the primary and secondary colors that we had in the past. It wasn't an easy decision, but it's a decision that they feel really enhances the game. You can kind of take that for what you want, whether or not you agree with them having to get rid of primary and secondary color, or if you think that armor coating should have just been in addition to that. One thing that I really like about this clarification is they talk about how they're going to be able to create armor coatings a lot faster than they could create weapon skins in Halo 5. So we're going to get a lot more armor coatings, and we're going to get even cooler variation over time. They also talk a little bit how we can get these armor coatings. They're going to use them as rewards for player accomplishments, or even create ones for certain limited time occasions. Obviously, I'm sure you're going to be able to buy some of them, but there's going to be a lot of ways to earn them in-game, whether it's just playing the game, or it's hitting specific ranks, or completing specific challenges. It sounds like there's going to be armor coatings for all sorts of different things, and there's going to be a lot of cool ways to unlock armor coatings, other than just being able to buy them. They also expanded a little bit on what they kind of mean by Halo Reach levels of armor customization. Basically, they kind of just say we're going to be able to customize every piece of your Spartan's armor and additional things that we weren't able to customize back in Reach. They're being a little bit vague here and they don't really tell you what some of these new customization options will be, but they want to save some of those surprises to show us soon. They kind of have a little section here toward the end where they talk about how between now and the release, we're going to continue to get more information. So that's a good thing. Hopefully we're not going to get another huge lull and another huge content drought like we've been seeing. And that's pretty much it for the art section and the live service section of the blog post. The last thing is just sort of a conclusion, an outro by Joseph Staten, which is kind of cool to see him back. He kind of just talks about how the Halo Infinite team is a team that he really enjoys working with, and he really thinks that they have a passion for Halo and that they're going to basically hit it out of the park. The only thing that I think is really important in this outro is that he confirms that he has played the entire Halo Infinite campaign twice. So this confirms all of those reports that we have seen that said the game was content complete. It is clearly content complete if he was able to play the entire Infinite campaign. This is a huge relief to me because it means that the game is ready and now they're just working on all the polish, right? They're making sure that the game looks good, the game runs well, the game plays well, but the core aspects of the game are there and they're not going to be working up to the last moment to try and figure out the mechanics of the game. That stuff's already there. Obviously, there'll probably be some testing and some tweaking, but basically at this point, I think they're pretty much just polishing the game off and making sure that we get the Halo Infinite that we want. And yeah, that pretty much covers the Inside Infinite December 2020 news blog from 343. I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this video. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, if you want to read all the nitty-gritty details of how they're improving the graphics or exactly how customization is going to work, you can always go and read the posting yourself. I'm going to put the link below. I just wanted to discuss some of the topics that they were talking about and kind of give you guys the high level of their high level, right? I hope that's something that you guys enjoyed. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. If you want to talk about this blog post with me or just talk about Halo in general, please come over and catch me on Twitch. I stream a couple times a week and I just hang out, talk to chat, play Halo, get mad at Halo, you know, we have a good time. You can also follow me over on Twitter where, I don't know, I tweet random things. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.